Welcome back to Feral for founders who want to do things a little wilder. And when I talk about that, this vision sitting next to me comes immediately to mind. We first bonded way back in July of 2022 when Deanna Seymour here, who I call Dee Dee, was on Too Legitimate to Quit, talking about one of our mutual heroes while he was still with us on this earthly plane, Pee Wee Herman, and specifically about Pee Wee's Playhouse. So welcome back to my weird world, Dee Dee. I can't wait to continue our conversation about some of our mutual loves, which are fun, connection, generosity, and a solid pitch so you can make that money. And we'll talk about all those things today. How are ya?
Good. How are you?
You know, I'm all right. I'm thrilled that I get to see you, and I'm just delighted to talk about this idea of muchness, not from an idea of it's okay, you can be much. You're here at Feral, you know you can be much. But is there a thing of too much? And what is the psychology behind the much that makes that muchness work? I feel like we don't talk about that nearly enough. And so I'm thrilled to talk to you about it. Now, just for fun, right before, since this event is called Feral, and clearly I am a raccoon, if you were going to choose a critter or a woodland creature or a mythical beast that could go feral to represent you in this family, what would you pick?
Well, mine lives in the ocean. Is that okay?
Of course it is. The ocean is terrifying.
A dolphin.
There we go.
I'm always like killer whales and dolphins are like tied for first in my head. But
I mean, remember when we thought that killer whales weren't killers, and then they were like, no, we earned our names, and now they're just taking out yachts right and left. So I think you can be like a dolphin who thinks she's an orca. I think that's
a dolphin raised by orcas.
There we go, like murder dolphin. I like it. I'm into it. I'm totally into it. So, my beloved murder dolphin, since we last spoke, you have taken this huge step in our Pee-wee's direction and really Pee-weefied not only your brand even further, but your whole offer suite. And so, what the heck were you thinking? What are you doing? What is the Playhouse? And did you have any concerns during that the offer would not be seen as valuable because of its fun?
Yeah, like too much fun. Well, I will say that when I started the Playhouse, I mostly reached out to the people in my network first. And one person, just one, but they wrote back and they said, I would love to because I love you and you're so fun, but I need to get serious. Like, I need to get serious about my business. So she wrote me and was like, I feel like I have to choose, which broke my heart, but I have to choose between, like, working on the fun stuff or the stuff that's gonna, like, in her mind, work. And I was like, okay. Of course, I was like, well, too bad. The Pee-wee train, the Playhouse train, like, we're not stopping. Like, sorry I didn't jump on. But I was like, okay, this is, like, interesting. And I think that was the first time anybody had, like, really spelled that out for me.
Yeah.
As feedback to me.
Yeah.
Like, and to be honest, I was just starting the group, and it is very different because it's like I'm not in charge. Everybody's hosting. Like, it is very much turning up the volume on the Playhouse part of a business collective.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, well, fair enough. But I was like, you're still going to be my friend, and like you can join the Playhouse whenever you want to, but we're going to try this. And honestly, like everything I do in my business, I'm like, this is what's working for me. Try it, don't try it. Like, everything I feel like is an experiment, which for me is
but
part
also,
of play.
were you coming out of your skin a little bit to be like, the stuff that you're calling fun stuff in this very specific case is exactly what will endear your clients to you, amplify your message, magnetize you. Like, if you had felt completely empowered in that moment, and I know you did say something, let's just like take all the blinders off. It's Feral, baby. It's you and me. If you could have said anything to that person in that moment about how wrong she was and why, without any fear of hurt in her feels, what would you have said?
Well, I think that I didn't say anything then because I didn't know. I was like, I don't know. We're making the Playhouse. We're going to see how it goes. So I didn't say anything then. But now that the Playhouse has been open for 8 months.
Yeah.
I'm like, people are getting clients in here. People, like, I am seeing exactly what I thought would happen is happening. And so now, and we have spoke since, and she hasn't joined yet, but she says it's on her radar, which I'm like, yeah, okay, cool. Everybody, it's open all the time. People can join when they want to. But now I feel like I have the chops to back it up. Like now I'm like, yeah, what I thought was going to happen is happening. So if someone else were to say something like that to me, I could easily come back and be like, well, you know, there's a coach in there for ADHD people. And when they hosted a Q&A event, a person came, talked to them and said, oh my God, you like see me and understand me. And like, I don't even need a discovery call. Take my money. Like, and I'm not saying every event you host in the Playhouse that happens. No, but it has happened to multiple people because the people come and they're like, oh my God, you saw me as a person, cared about me, responded to my specific question with a very specific answer. And like, they need more help. Like the next obvious step is if they can, to work with that person in whatever way, you know, it could just be like, oh, and if you want to keep working on this, I have a little workshop, a little $50 workshop on this same thing that will walk you all the way through this. So I feel like it is just a natural next step. It doesn't feel salesy and it doesn't feel weird or sleazy because they've already like helped you. So I just think it's definitely a mindset switch where people are like, wait, I'm hosting events, like I'm giving away something. Well, what do I get? Like, it's like interesting because I'm like, well, you get the chance to show people what you can do. And I just think it's just
in a
people around to get it.
playful pre-trust environment.
Yes.
Right? That trust transfer, I think, is so key. And yet we talk about it so seldom. And it's so, there's my Chicago accent. And it's so fascinating to me how much more quickly trust transfer happens when it's in a play-filled, joyful environment. And it's baffling, and yet it's totally not. Because if you go to a birthday party, there's an activity so that all the kids can do something and have a shared experience. Or, you know, we've been looking at these ways to play together, to communally bond, or to celebrate, or to survive, or to thrive for so long. Why wouldn't we apply? Why shouldn't we apply that same playful mentality to bonding with our peers, bonding with our clients? So what have you seen upfront and personal over the last 8 months really thrive within that playful container you've built?
Okay, I love this question. One thing I want to do before we keep talking, and like before we got on the call, I was like, I want to make sure that we define what I mean when I say
yes,
fun
please.
and play.
Thank you so much. Webster's Dictionary defines play. Just kidding. Dee Dee Seymour defines play as.
Well, when I talk about fun in your business or play in your business, I am just talking about you creating things, whether that's a social media post, an offer, you know, whatever, your signature keynote, from a place of joy. Like it is making you happy. So I know some people like to dig into data. That's not my area of fun, but some people really nerd out about that. So I want anybody listening to know my brand of fun is definitely like Pee-wee's Playhouse, laughing, being silly, killer dolphins, love it. That's why we bonded so hard. But it doesn't have to be everyone's flavor of fun. So I just want to get that sort of out of the way. And the cool thing about the Playhouse is people can show up in their own way that is fun for them. Because what I was going to say to answer your question, over the past 8 months, first of all, none of the events are recorded. I think we're really used to everything having a replay, and like every single Zoom thing you go on, people are starting to record my like coffee chats when I just go to meet someone. I'm like, does the Fathom robot have to be here? Like, what's going to happen? This feels weird. So in the Playhouse, nothing is recorded, which might be a bummer for some people. Like, I know Suzanne's in Australia and is like, I can only wake up, like, the earliest I'll wake up is 4 a.m. I'm like, you're crazy. I would never wake up at 4 a.m.
No.
But on the other hand, people love it because they're like, oh my God, I can come. Like, I don't feel like someone's going to be watching this replay in 2 years. And not to diss replays. It's just a nice space where you don't feel the pressure to show up perfectly. Or if you're hosting, you can just have a real conversation. And you can say like, oh, I don't really know that. I'll get back to you. But sometimes when things are recorded, you feel like, oh God, I have to know everything, like I need to be on. And so I think the relaxedness of it is definitely part of it being the Playhouse. But it's interesting because when people want to host events and they feel like a little nervous, I'll chat with them. And some people love just showing up and being like, whatever, I'm just going to like, show me your brand and I'll like give you some feedback. Show me your website and I'll give you some feedback. But I think some people find comfort in like being a little more strategic and like presenting or a little more prepared. And again, I think it's like creating from that place of joy. Like if I was like, you have to make a slideshow and people hated it, they'd be like, ugh, here I go. Like, but if somebody finds comfort in that, me saying you have to just show up and like go by the seat of your pants, they would be like, oh my God, my anxiety just got turned up to 100. So I think just being honest with yourself about what you actually enjoy, and then just like really leaning into that makes everything that much more sustainable, but also just makes your vibe, which I know you hang out with woo people, and I feel like there's lots of woo people in the Playhouse, so it's obviously rubbing off on me. But I think the vibe is different, right?
I think the vibe is different in a non-woo way because of what we talked about before, because of trust, because of intimacy, because in an act of play, you bring the toys you have and the mood you're in. You know what I mean? Like if you don't have a Barbie and everybody's meeting in a sandbox, you bring the G.I. Joe you brought with you. You know what I mean? It's very come as you are. And I think there's permission in that. I think there's self-acceptance in that. And I think with, at the risk of sounding like the real world, there's actual deeper connection that happens when people know that they have permission to show up in a different energy than business professional on.
Yes.
Even when they're looking for clients, even when they're positioning. And I'd say especially because you and I know that when it comes to magnetism, nothing stops a scroll like some fun, right? So you were one of the very first people that I saw to pioneer this fabulous thing of like, I'm just going to do things while it's fun and then stop. But I know that about myself, so I'm going to stop ahead of time. So Big Fun Content, your podcast, which has had many, many iterations. One of the things I love about it is that it's meant to stop. Like, it's not meant to be a podcast that goes on and on forever. It's called Big Fun Content. It can also stop. It can be big fun content that stops. And I love that because it kind of protects the bigness and the funness of it. But, like, how do we know when we're working with the creative energies of fun, when we're working with the communal powers and the generosity of play? How do we wield those things in a way that feels both soft skill, feel good, but also really wields that strategy? Because you and I know this is a pathway to profit. You and I know this is a pathway to fans and clients who are rabidly referring you. But for anybody who's like, okay, cool, great, have fun, but like, how do I really get strategic about that? What do you say? How do we kind of fling open the doors of fun?
Well, I think for me, being fun is way more sustainable. So I guess to answer the question, I'll do the opposite of like, if you're not in this flow state of fun, it's like harder to show up consistently. You're more distracted by like your neighbor is like, oh my God, I'm killing it on YouTube. And you're like, oh, you're doing YouTube? Like, cause you're not in your lane. You're not like really enjoying what you're doing. Also, when you don't really enjoy what you're doing, whether that's like setting up Facebook ads, doing a reel every day or as often as you can stand it, or YouTube, whatever, LinkedIn, I tried to do LinkedIn and I was like, I'm not feeling it. And now I'm feeling it more. So I'm there more. Like I personally, and I think a lot of people, like it's human nature. It's the dopamine. Like we're not going to do the things we don't want to do consistently, or we are, and it's just going to slowly like chip away at our souls and there's going to be like nothing left. And also, I hate to keep talking about the energy, but the energy you bring when you're like doing a YouTube channel because somebody said you should, it's just like, as you think you can fake it, but I just really don't think you can, and I don't think you can be consistent. And I think when we think of like, oh, the people on TikTok who are like really big, they've made like multiple videos over and over, and I think they like it. Like, especially, I'm not even talking about business owners on TikTok, but like just a person who just started making TikToks for fun, and they just keep doing it and they keep doing it and they keep doing it and they love it. Those are the people who are more likely to have a big audience. And I'm not saying there's not people who maybe wanted a big audience and showed up a lot and it didn't work for them. But I think showing up every day is a hell of a lot easier if you like what you're doing. Like I always joke I want to walk more on my I'm pointing this way because I have a little walking pad. I don't do it because I'm not really craving that. Like, it's not really fun for me. I've never been like, I really want to eat more bags of hot Cheetos because it's easy for me to do that because I love a hot Cheeto and I can do it anytime somebody wants to show me a bag of hot Cheetos, I can eat it because I
You're
love
my
them.
hot Cheeto, baby.
But you know what I mean? Like, it's not hard. It is not hard to do the things you
Right,
enjoy.
you don't have to be convinced into eating the hot Cheeto, right?
And I just think
it's always there for you
It's always there. I'm ready for it.
with its red dye 40 or whatever.
I know. It's terrible. Like, as a matter of fact, that's what I'm saying too, the power of fun. Even though slightly I'm like, ugh, these hot Cheetos, I could kind of cool out on those. They're so fun that I just keep going back for more. So if you can build a business, I mean, like, I still have to do my bookkeeping. And
Right.
that is not fun for me. But
there's a difference between a should and a requirement. And I think you've made a really important thing is like bookkeeping, paying your taxes, like living up to the promises in your contracts, paying your contractors. Like all of these things are not shoulds. They are have tos, period. Like you are a business, not a hobby. You've heard that a million times. Full stop. My favorite designer to refer because your stuff is so recognizably gorgeous and fun and vibrant and dances. It's just joy. It's just freaking joy. So, you know, those are have tos. Those are musts. And then you brought up this idea that I think is so critical of shoulds. And you and I first originally fell in love as a designer, and you are full stop my all-time favorite designer because your stuff is so vibrant and so full of life. What I think is so interesting is that you brought up these shoulds. And as a designer, with your designer hat on, can't you always tell, and also as a social media strategist, can't you always tell when someone is following a should instead of following their own brand or following their own, like, you don't want to talk about energy. I don't want to talk about following your truth. But seriously, like, can you go on Instagram and just know, like, that person doesn't feel like they can use color, that person is using copy from ChatGPT? Like, can you just see the shoulds in real time?
I've never thought about it that way, but I think you're right. I think I probably could. I mean, you could just see the people who don't want to do it. I feel like one time I saw a reel, this was a while ago, of like you can upload into Canva like a spreadsheet of all these quotes and it will like instantly apply this template to all the quotes. And like you just like putting all these quotes out. And I was thinking, well, you just don't want to do quotes. Like it's okay to just like if you're trying to hack the system so hard that you're like, ugh, I don't even want to do this. Like, how can I make it as easy as possible? Like, how can I get a robot to comment on people's comments on LinkedIn? Just don't do it. Like, you don't like that and you don't want to do it. That's okay. But like, what do you want to do? What would be fun? What would, and if it's nothing, then I guess you would have to be like, okay, well, what would suck the least? Like, 'cause like you're saying, at some point, like you should probably, I mean, I guess you don't even have to pick a social media platform, but hopefully then you're writing emails. Like, you know, you're going to have to do something.
There's always, I mean,
or you're going to have to network.
Mary Poppins, in every job there must be done, there is an element of fun.
Yes.
You find the fun.
Well, I was going to say, like, I am the most caught up on my books, like my QuickBooks right now, because I'm in a membership and there's co-working and I like people and I like chitty-chatting. And so if I just know, even if I keep putting it off, I make it to that call and then like, and I get the support I need because I don't like doing my books. So it's not like fun for me to take a course on that. Like I like to follow the fun. So,
I mean, I used to run my mom's office as a tween and teen until I ran away to college. And my mom told me that and taught me that she would put smiley face stickers on all of her mailed in documents to the IRS. Because she's like, well, they probably don't get to see many stickers and most people that talk to them are mad. And I think it's the reason I haven't been audited. And so like I inherited that. And so people are like, I can't believe you send in documents. You know that you can e-send a lot of this stuff. And I'm like, okay, number one, they get almost no mail now. So I go right to the top. Number two, I put stickers on that thing. Even more special. Now, I cannot guarantee that that is a reason I have not, to this point, been audited, but it can't hurt, right?
Yeah.
That's the other thing. Is like it increases my enjoyment. It reduces my stress. It makes me feel better. And to your point, more engaged at what I'm doing. And if it delights someone on the other side, isn't that a glorious bonus?
yes. Well, you also did your taxes. This is what I was going to say too, because I think in the beginning we were talking too about if you're too fun, is it distracting people? Like, will people take me seriously?
Yes. Will people take me seriously? And will it be effective?
Yes. And I think there's a little bit of a risk, right? But we all know marketing is like repelling and attracting. So there's a little bit of a risk where there are some people who are going to be like, that girl looks bonkers, not interested. And after as many years as I've been in business, they're probably not for me anyways. They will probably be an annoying client. So That's good. What I think helps is you can lead with the fun, but there has to be some substance. So let's just say I make a wacky graphic.
Yep.
What I'm writing on LinkedIn makes sense, or what you're reading in my email is like striking a nerve with you, or you're like, okay, this is cool.
Yep.
So I think if it's just fun, that could work for a little bit, but I think what keeps it working and what also builds, I would argue, like more authority. I'm like an actress now. I'm like, I have range. Look at me. I can be fun, but I can also meet a deadline. Which, no shade to other graphic designers, but a lot of my clients are like, oh my God, like you're so fast, you're so responsive, like you're doing this. Like, I think people are almost like more impressed when I am professional because they're like, whoa, you're like fun and professional. I actually have a thing in my, like when I send someone a proposal, there's a contract at the bottom. So I don't have HoneyBooks. So I think in HoneyBooks, it would be like you click a button on the proposal and then you automatically get the contract. So I couldn't figure out how to do that. So we just have a big long, here's the proposal. And I put a line in there that's like, if you're cool with this proposal, keep scrolling because surprise, it's also a contract. And I think I put in parentheses, like, pretty efficient and impressive for an artsy gal like me, huh? And I'm just like already planting the seed of like, yeah, this project is going to be fun. But then also in my wording, it's like, then once this is signed and you pay your deposit, we'll start the party. And by party, I mean your project, which is going to be so fun, it's going to feel like a party. So this whole idea of fun has just become like infused in my brand. But also it helps me because I am funny and silly and I say what's on my mind. So with these clients, I'm going to be recording looms and showing them their graphics. And if something funny happens or I didn't do something, like I'm going to be making jokes. I'm going to be saying weird things. I can't help it. It's who I am. And they're ready for it, but they already know that they've gotten automated emails that say, thanks for your payment. Like they already are safe.
Right. It's got substance behind it, right? And so that's the thing is like the novelty grabs the attention. Yes. The novelty stops the scroll, but the novelty alone is not going to book the client. What lands the job is going to be how you pair that novelty with value, how you pair that novelty to showcase your expertise, what you do with that precious attention once you have been given it. So I freaking love that.
And I think without the fun, you might not get the attention. So if you're too worried about showing up professionally, all of a sudden you've crossed the threshold from professional to boring and people are scrolling past and some weirdo like me is hooking them. And then they're realizing she's like funny and she can do the work. I like this. So I would just say, I don't know why too. I want to like bring up Dungeons and Dragons. It's
do
like
it. Come on.
Me. I don't even know how to, I don't know. I really don't know anything about Dungeons and Dragons. Although someone said in the Playhouse they might host a Dungeons and Dragons mini game. I was like, oh my gosh. So I was just going to say like, it could be anything. Like it could be witchy stuff. It could be, I don't know, like whatever.
It could be whatever's fun for you.
Yeah.
Honestly.
And I just think it would be like so funny to like scroll and see somebody comparing Dungeons and Dragons to, see, I'm not that good at it because I don't know what dungeon, but I bet it could compare to something in business.
I'm sure it does. Yeah. I'm sure it compares to a billion things in business, but also it's a matter of degrees from where you are, right? Like you and I have talked a million times about how you have a brand palette that is inspired by a rainbow bikini, right? But like if rainbow bikini is too far a step for you, introduce a color that is not in your palette that lights you up, or redo your palette entirely if you want to go a step further than that, right? Like this is by a matter of degrees. Similarly, if the topics that you're dealing with are really serious or heavy, we're not saying you have to make light of the pain people are in. We're not saying you have to lampoon yourself, make fun of yourself, any of that. But like, I love the word that you said so much. It shows range. How can lightness and light be brought into part of your visibility? If it's not right for your brand, for everything to be a song and dance, that's totally okay. But you can still, to people in pain, bring light, bring joy, and bring some very precious fun. Dee Dee, this has been, as always, completely freaking perfect. But we're not done. You got two more things that you want people to know about. The first one is that you have a quiz.
Yes.
Tell us about that quiz.
Okay. So this is like a visibility vibe quiz. It is going to help you figure out if you're listening and you're like, cool, well, how do I know what I even like? What should I lean into? What do I like more? Where should I be showing up? This quiz, and people have taken it and been like, oh my God, you're right on. So I feel like it's been tested enough that I feel pretty confident about it. So, you can go to jointheplayhouse.com/quiz and find out what is your best sort of modes of visibility, best ideas for collaborations that won't make you be like, oh my God, I hate this. So trying to lean into that fun.
Speaking of things that people hate, I've tried to break up with Instagram more times than I can possibly count, and it's the platform I like the most. So you are teaching one of the most brilliant things I've ever seen during implementation day, which is your strategy for breaking up with Instagram almost. Tell us a little bit about what people can expect from you on implementation day.
Yeah, we're planning our static 9 grids. So it's going to be super easy. If you're like, oh my gosh, I'm not designy, don't even try to put me into Canva. Don't worry. We're just going to use a Google Doc. We're going to strategize what needs to go on it. We're going to strategize why, what order we're going to put them in. I've done so many of these for clients, and I really have leaned into creating them as whole ecosystem. If you do stories, we can work into your highlights. We can work your reels in. We have a whole system. So I'm going to go over all that so that you can walk away with a Google Doc with an exact map of what you're going to go on there. And if we have time, we can start talking about captions and how to maybe use AI to get you a head start on your captions, but then you have to captionify them yourself. But it's definitely a time saver. So,
but once that 9 grid is in place, what changes for me? What do I not have to do anymore?
You could never go on that platform again if you wanted to. I mean, we'll go over that too, but you just be honest with people about how much you're going to check in or not check in. Mm-hmm. At this point, I don't have Instagram on my phone. I open it on my desktop maybe twice a week. I still get followers. I still have people in the DMs, and I just respond. I'm like, oh, hey, I'm never on here. It's not on my phone. So.
Did y'all hear? She's still getting those DMs. So if you want to almost break up with Instagram fantastically so that they know that you won the breakup or the almost breakup, make sure that you're joining Dee Dee on Thursday at implementation day for that static 9 grid workshop. I will be there because, like I said, get me the heck off that platform. The incomparable, the incredible Deanna Dee Dee Seymour, Queen of Design, Rainbows, and Playhouses. Thank you for being here with me at Feral today.
Thank you for having me. This is so fun. I love it. Wait, that's my dolphin.
Oh, that's right. You're a dolphin. Murder dolphin. There you go. I'll see y'all next time. Raw, real, and just a little dangerous. This is Feral.